Hello, fellow mech warriors, Mage Leader here. Welcome back to the Battlemech Primer, where we pretend the Jihad never happened until it's convenient for us. Our session today comes after a delay caused by a slight jump ship malfunction. Everything seems to be okay now, but on an unrelated note, if anyone watching happens to know how to separate two pilots that have been fused together, preferably without killing them, leave a brief tutorial down in the comments. We'll just ignore that for now. So what monster of engineering are we looking at today? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Today we'll be tackling something a bit less controversial, a mech that pretty much everyone loves. Today, we're taking a look at the Battlemaster. Apart from having one of the most badass names in the universe, the Battlemaster is loaded with nifty features and general badassery. It looks cool, fights well, and much like the Highlander, it's something of a status symbol. Think of it less as a compensation device and more of an extension of one's already impressive girth. Battlemasters are in a sort of limbo when it comes to rarity. They're not hard to find because they don't make them anymore. In fact, production has been fairly steady on these guys since before the First Succession War. Battlemasters are hard to find because of the rate at which they're produced. And to understand the reason for this sluggish manufacturing, we need to go back a few hundred years. The first Battlemaster was produced by Hollis Industries in 2633. At this point in history, the Battlemech had established itself as the dominant weapon of war in the Inner Sphere. Mechs were being cranked out at an alarming rate, and basically anyone with a factory was trying to build the next Mackie and monopolize innovation. Hollis had been a little late to the party when it came to mech production, and their first attempt was, frankly, an embarrassment. I mean, just look at this fucking thing. Ugh. The Xanthos flopped hard, often literally, and so it was scrapped before it entered widespread service, much to the relief of SLDF pilots everywhere. Hollis made a comeback with the excellent catapult design soon after, which helped to establish them as a competent mech company rather than a laughingstock. But Hollis wasn't content with being just another producer. They wanted to hit it big, and so they began working on something new. They took a look at what was available at the time, what pilots wanted, what worked well in the field, and what looked badass. They compiled all this data in an Excel spreadsheet and determined to build a mech that would have every single one of these features but do it better than any other machine on the market. It would be the biggest, meanest piece of hardware on the battlefield, the standard against which all future Battlemechs would be measured. This desire to create the best mech in existence is what led Hollis to give it its name. When the Battlemaster rolled off the assembly line, it was an instant hit.
Is that a man riding a
Battlemaster?
It was reliable, durable, powerful, intimidating, and it had a really comfy control couch. Pilots loved it, and so the SLDF ordered more. But there was a problem. See, when you build a mech with the best ever targeting computers, sensors, actuators, reactors, weapons, armor, and various other gizmos, it tends to be a tad expensive. Not only that, but since every piece was a precision-built component, actually getting the parts together was a time-consuming process. Hollis had made a fantastic mech, but it was so fantastic that they couldn't even come close to satisfying the demand. It was all quality and very little quantity, a problem that has often plagued the military-industrial complex. Do you make a few kick-ass machines, or do you make thousands of mediocre ones? Different nations have taken different approaches throughout history, but nobody seems to have a sound answer. Whatever the case, Hollis had designed a mech that was hard to build, but even harder to break. The default Battlemaster is the BLR-1G, or the Blurg as I like to call it. It comes loaded for bear with a PPC, 6 medium lasers, an SRM-6, and a pair of machine guns for that pesky infantry. It's an 85-ton behemoth that can wipe out a tank battalion in seconds and level a settlement in under a minute. Everything about the Battlemaster is premium, from the footpads to the canopy. It's the Ferrari of assault mechs, built for those who want to crush their enemies and look badass while doing it. In fact, it's so effective and well made that entire campaigns have been fought over its spare parts. And it's not just packing outrageous levels of heat. The Battlemaster is also a boxing champion. Melee is a somewhat situational tactic on the battlefield. Most mechs aren't really built for it. A few were designed with dedicated weapons for smashing other mechs, but for the most part it's a desperation move. Not in a Battlemaster though. No, the Battlemaster was made for style, and so it comes standard with a nifty feature that's fairly rare. Its PPC isn't actually mounted in its arm, it's held in its hand, which means that at any point, the pilot can simply drop the weapon and prepare to throw down at point-blank range. And those aren't battle fists on the ends of its arms either. A battle fist is really just a massive club. No, those are actual hands with fully functional finger actuators, meaning it can grab your mech and rip it apart. And it will. This makes the mech a Solaris jock's wet dream, and it has delighted fans in the arena for hundreds of years. Hollis would produce the design up until the First Succession War, when a raid on their factory basically made them disappear. This very same raid is what led to the Highlander becoming an endangered species. After the war, the Battlemaster would be produced by a number of other companies, but the loss of knowledge and scarcity of materials that the Succession Wars caused made it even harder to build them than before, and so production has only slowed further since then. While it hasn't disappeared like its younger brother, it's only doing marginally better. Finding a Battlemaster is like finding an attractive person that isn't completely insane. You'll probably never see one, and if you do, they probably already belong to someone else. In the field, the Battlemaster is most often used as a command vehicle due to its rarity. However, it also finds its place right on the front lines. They're great for attacking fortifications and breaking through defensive lines, and while 64.8 kph might seem a little on the slow side, it's pretty quick for a machine that size. It can point at light mechs and make them disappear with a single trigger pull, and its 14.5 tons of armor can keep it rolling no matter what gets thrown at it. At close range, they're devastating, and the mere deployment of one has often ended a few fights right then and there. Fighting a Battlemaster is kind of like trying to wrestle an avalanche. It's probably not a good idea, and you're likely to end up buried. If you find yourself lucky enough to own one of these mechs, then you've just landed one of the most solid machines in the inner sphere. Use it wisely. It can dominate just about any field you place it on, but keep in mind that repairs are going to be a bitch. Don't put it somewhere that's likely to break it, like at long range or alone against an enemy lance. Give it to your best pilot and put it where it can do the most damage, right up in their grill. It's the cherry on top of any assault lance, and when used properly, it'll bring you victory wherever you go, but it's not invincible. So that's the Battlemaster. It's a victim of its own reputation, a machine that'll destroy basically anything it goes up against, provided you can actually find one. It was built to be as perfect as possible, and it's about as close as anyone's going to get. Remember, if you find yourself fighting one, aim for the cockpit, because that's a machine you want to capture intact. Pilots are expendable. Battlemasters aren't. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, leave a comment down below. I read each and every one. Until next time, this is Mage Leader, signing off.